What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. It's been a while since I've given a Polestar update, so I just want to go over a lot of the data points that a lot of investors need to keep in mind, especially more so leading into our upcoming Q3 earnings, which is set for November the 11th. So I'm going to go over all the data points that you need to know, but first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. It's always greatly appreciated. With that said, let's get right to it. Live ticker is at the very bottom of the screen, currently down 2.2%, 205,000 for volume, 30.4 thousand is being purchased by institutions on the secondary market. And when it comes to that though, I really like to look at what is happening both on the secondary market and also the dark pool. So these are the transactions being done by the dark pool, a little bit on the low end. So ever since Polestar did get rolled out from GDPI, it unfortunately lost a little bit more favorability in institutions. So it does suck in the grand scheme of things, and I think that's one reason why we've been just trending down. But hopefully with good upcoming Q3 earnings, like I said, set for November the 11th at 8 a.m., that potentially could have a nice good rebound based on that. They did already come out with their actual delivery numbers. So delivery numbers they did have as 9,215 in Q3. Total as of for the year though is 30,400. When they came out with this news, it did cause the stock price to go down because they did reiterate their target of 50,000 by the end of the year. So that is going to make a very difficult task on Q4. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below, and if you think they can actually hit their target. Definitely, if they do not hit their target though, anticipate a very big sell-off. So that's my own interpretation. And like I said, I have been talking on institutions and what they've been doing. These are the latest round of 13Fs. So a lot of institutions for the most part are kind of increasing their position in small amounts, so 50% up, but still 25,000 shares. Overall though, it is what it is. You have the same big players in Polestar that's been around for a while. And as you can see, they're listed here. And I've been really talking on the institutional presence over the last couple updates, and it's been, I think, around October-ish. So when it comes down to a stock below $5, if they are below there for 10 days, they are considered a penny stock. And if considered a penny stock, then certain institutions cannot hold Polestar in certain accounts or hold them on margin. So as I was saying in those update videos, if potentially we were to be below $5 for the 10 days, unfortunately, some institutions would have to sell out their position. And if you do look on the actual chart, this exact day on the 28th was the 10th day, and it did have a little bit higher volume. And unfortunately, we were down a little bit more of a volatile day. So unfortunately, it does look like some institutions did reduce some of their position. Keep in mind, that will not be represented based on these 13Fs because that would have been done in the Q4. So we have to wait until January to see who potentially did sell. That would just mean ultimately that they were being held on margin. So again, that's my own interpretation. Over and above that though, just looking at some of the holders as far as on Ortex, it's pretty small, like I said, in the grand scheme of things. If we do hit that 50,000 target, anticipate a lot more analysts and a lot more actual institutions to get involved in Polestar. So keeping in line with that topic of analysts, these are the latest analyst ratings. So not too many. So Redburn, Citi, Deutsche. At the end of the day, if we do hit our targets and have fairly good earnings, that could give a little bit more of an incentivizing bump to analysts to give a rating. So that's a little bit more of an interpretation, my own thoughts on that. But with this upcoming earnings though, there's a lot of different ways that it can go. So in case you guys aren't familiar with upcoming earnings or anything like that, or how they work, there's several different factors that institutions and retail investors all care about. And that is earnings per share, revenue, and future guidance. Under the future guidance aspect, this is where it can go very much right or very much wrong. They talk about the pros, the cons, and what they expect from the future, talk about delivery numbers and some positives, negatives. They talk about everything. So this is why that future guidance, especially more so in 2022, has been just a little bit more of a wild card. But a lot of people are going to be looking at the balance sheet. So this is the balance sheet based on Q2 earnings. Cash equivalents, short-term investments, 1.38 billion. Long-term investments, 2.36 million. Total debt, 899.67 million. So especially with a higher interest rate environment, not necessarily just in the States, but broadly around the world, a lot of companies and investors are looking at balance sheets to see if it is a good investment. So that's something that you need to factor in. Do your guys' own due diligence, because I am not a financial advisor. So just be aware of that. I also like to give a lot of updates when it comes down to short interest, even technically if a stock isn't going to have a squeeze, because I like to talk on shorts because that's the opposite individual. So clearly there's a lot of investors that are very long on obviously Polestar. Shorts, you're only shorting it if you think it's going to go down. So it's good to use them as a benchmark. As of right now, the short score is currently 84. Utilization is 93.88. Also on a side note, if you guys have any questions about any of this information, let me know in the comments below. And also this is from Ortex, so I do have a link to them in the description below as well. So as of right now, within the first roughly about 1 hour of the trading day, they're increasing 2.03 thousand shares. So pretty small in the grand scheme of things. Even in comparison, their short interest is 8.97. So even comparing them to a lot of other EVs is very, very small. So that could be seen as a very bullish sign. And over and above that though, there's currently 9.81 million shares in total being shorted. Cost to borrow average is 30.55. So that's a little bit higher in reality, but very low short interest. So again, let me know your thoughts on that and also your interpretation of that. When it comes down to options activity, I also like to look at the data behind the scenes. As of right now, the put/call ratio, it is definitely getting up there, meaning that there's less calls, more puts being purchased. So at the end of the day, that could be seen as a bearish sign. As I always say, I like to give you guys the good, the bad, and the ugly. So this is where you do get some optimistic views and some data, some negative data. It's up to you guys to make your own interpretation. I'm just here to list all the facts and the stuff that I particularly look at. So again, this is why Polestar unfortunately is trending down and in general is a little bit more volatile because there's both the positives and negatives of the market right now. So again, let me know your thoughts on that. I personally think that a lot of good analyst ratings will give a very good bump up to Polestar. On a side note, I do have a link to Interactive Brokers in the comments below, and also I'll put it in the comments as well. Very good broker if you are looking for a lot of good content, or even on their platform as well. I'm going to do a little bit more actual tutorials on their actual platform and just help investors to be better in the grand scheme of things. So when it comes to that though, I'm a big technicals fan, plain and simple. So as of right now, we're exactly at that central Bollinger Band, and that is a very strong resistance that we've unfortunately failed to get over. And right now, stochastic is currently at 47, so fairly neutral, but you do see, despite us being down for the last couple of days or red, we do have a little bit more of a deviation. So the market does want it to go up fundamentally. And momentum, number of retail investors, they're starting to get back in today. So again, a lot of positive things, maybe a little bit more anticipation from our upcoming earnings, which is set for November the 11th. I particularly, as I've disclosed in previous videos, I did buy in at $5.22. I'm pretty happy with that. I felt at that stage the risk versus reward is definitely in our favor for investors, so it's a good time to invest. But I know definitely they do need to hit this target. If not, there's going to be a pretty substantial sell-off. So that's unfortunately the 2022 situation. I think Polestar is very ambitious with their targets, and whereas a lot of other EVs have been cutting production. So I think hats off to Polestar and their management. Definitely a lot of good things coming from them. But let me know your thoughts on Polestar in the comments below, and give yourself a shout out as well. If you've been buying, selling, holding, whatever it might be, give yourself a shout out. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. I always greatly appreciate that. Actually, on a side note as well, if you are wanting me to live stream this particularly, also let me know in the comments below as well. I'd be open to doing that as well, even though it is a little bit early, but I'd still do it. But yeah, if you do like my channel, want to support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that, I appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on Polestar.